Do you want to know what the fallen are, little one? In a sense, they are angels, but not the angels your mom imagines she prays to. Brass trumpets picnicking in the clouds. In their true essence, they are great swirling engines of wing and blood, fiery eyes that peer around the corners between worlds. Dark, radiant things conjured from fresh battlefields. A Frankenstein's Valkyrie, forever crashing to Midgard. What grief demands their hate? What vast cannibal hunger?
Welcome to the Fallen Cycle Mythos Fiction Podcast. This universe is full of secrets, waiting for those brave or foolhardy enough to seek them out. Cycle 2, Party at the World's End. Take a mad ride past the event horizon of sanity, as Lilith and her band of miscreants transcend from escaped convicts to superstars of a different kind. They grapple with the intoxication of growing influence. This is the story of those fallen who walk amongst us in a universe where 2012 went a bit differently, and hints of the world that is to come. Discover more about the Fallen Cycle mythos, including comics, novels, setting lore, and an RPG currently in development at fallencycle.com. And for our discussion and actual play exploration of RPG system and setting, visit modernmythology.net. This podcast contains adult themes and may induce psychosis. And now on with the show.
Season 5. Chapter 4. The three suits contained separate bodies. 2012. We are on the side of man, of life, and of the individual. Therefore, we are against religion, morality, and government. Therefore, our name is Lucifer. We are on the side of freedom, of love, of joy, and laughter, and divine drunkenness. Therefore, our name is Babylon. Sometimes we move openly, sometimes in silence and in secret. Night and day are one to us, calm and storm, seasons and the cycles of man. All these things are one, for we are at the roots. Supplicant, we stand before the powers of life and death, and are heard of these powers and avail. Our way is the secret way, the unknown direction. Jack Parsons. An unmarked white-crowned Victoria pulled up in front of a brick apartment building. The engine hitched and knocked a moment before stopping. The door kicked open, and Adam Trevino heaved a sigh for no apparent reason. He plodded up the stairs to his apartment, brooding at the way his sidearm thumped his ribs as he climbed. Might as well fret about the gun. Its weight, suddenly uncomfortable, the vast legal machinery dedicated to keeping it in the holster. Better that than to contemplate the empty pocket in his overcoat, where his credentials used to be. The review had taken nearly 2 years, but his suspension was only in its third day. It wouldn't be reviewed for 2 more, and in all likelihood, he would be stripped of rank. Orphaned. Better to sit at home and watch the news. At the door, he reached into his pocket and removed a keyless entry fob. Pushing it once, shut down the motion and pressure sensors. Pushing it twice, unlocked the door. Trevino's front door featured a typical urban dweller's fetish of deadbolts, though vestigial. Inserting a key or a tension bar would only set off the alarm. Upon entering one's apartment, one hung up one's coat. One locked the door and pushed play on the answering machine. One removed shoes and turned on the television against the backdrop of coffee brewing. His eyes caught on the citations hanging on his otherwise bare walls. Bravery, marksmanship, and forensics. None of it mattered, it seemed, after one mistake. He hit play on an old-fashioned answering machine and continued through the apartment towards his coffee machine. Adam, hi. It's Sheila. Look, I know about that suspect vanishing into thin air. The review came down hard on you. It's bullshit, you're damn fine police, it'll blow over, I just know it. Having poured himself a cup, black, no sugar, Trevino flopped onto a worn leather couch. He started flipping through the channels, though he couldn't manage to ignore the damn answering machine. I just wanted to say, we're all here for you, you know? Anything we can do to get you back out there, just call me, okay? Christ, Sheila. Adopt a dog, Trevino grunted. The machine beeped. Next message. There was a long pause. Good evening, Adam. We understand PA-SBI unit no longer requires your services. Subject to 28 U.S.C. 561-D, you are hereby informed of appointment as Special Deputy U.S. Marshal Adam Trevino. This voice sounded somehow more robotic, more cold than the automated voice of the answering machine. Trevino almost dropped his coffee. You report for duty tomorrow, 7 a.m., in room 101 of the Federal Building. Congratulations, Deputy. Trevino stared at the answering machine, waiting for the other shoe to drop. He entertained the thought that his old buddies were playing a practical joke. But no, they knew there were things an officer did not joke about. Certainly, not now. He looked up at the citations on his walls. Finally, he smiled to himself. Beats the shit out of the Pinkertons, doesn't it? He settled into the news, still unable to wipe the smile from his face. A blonde news reporter stood in front of a fence with a sign that read, Pennhurst Psychiatric Hospital. Her perfect little face was creased with solemnity, and her eyes were perfectly blank. Can you tell us more about that, Amy? The voiceover asked. Trevino's attention wandered as he wondered why he was planning to drink a pot of coffee at this hour. For 10 months, involuntarily committed in the wake of a series of bizarre attacks on 24-hour eateries and places of worship in Montgomery County, concluding with a bomb threat in the King of Prussia Mall. Amy was replaced with grainy surveillance footage of the mall, devoid of audio. A grim psychopath stood on a counter, dressed like a South American gorilla, wearing what appeared to be an explosive vest. He was preaching wildly while waving a detonator. A purple-haired freak ran around the food court, throwing money at hostages. Terrified-looking protesters stood in the background, holding up a black banner with white Arabic writing. In front of the banner stood a row of giant papier-mâché penises, spray-painted with pink swastikas, and the words, "Gay for Islam." Protesters and fake SWAT agents clamored in the background. Then someone dressed in a Santa suit was raised above the throng, tied to a cross with a giant bow on top. Trevino blinked. The smile was gone. He shook his head in disbelief as memories of the MHB case started to return to him. Those kids were obviously not real terrorists, but you simply do not fuck around like that. They ought to be locked up. Amy's voiceover continued. While staff report the two were responding well to therapy and medication, it is now clear their recovery was anything but genuine. There was a close-up cut of the psycho's stubbled jaw, mouthing the words, "Lip reading is dead sexy. Call me." How the fuck could he forget? He'd worked this case 2 years back. Dionysus, the purple-haired one, Jesus. They were caught, fleeing the mall. Dumb luck. And Johnny, a mild, middle-aged adolescent, was implicated in every possible way. Trevino had argued he was innocent of everything save being a clown, but the DA wanted the press. They were written off as head cases, and eventually it was brushed aside. Amy continued, standing in front of Pennhurst's barren gates. In a daring, late-night escape, the two have vanished, taking with them a hostage, 29-year-old Cody Kilroy. Hospital staff are unwilling to comment on their pending investigation. There was a close-up of the rope ladder, dangling from the blown-out window, fluttering in the breeze. Trevino frowned. But Action News has learned that explosive devices were triggered in the course of their escape, before the three fled, apparently on foot. Trevino shook his head. My ass. That ladder's upside down. Loki and Dionysus hit the roof. He turned off the TV, then grabbed Jesus while everyone ran off into the woods, steal a van, join the pursuit, split off. He shook his head and stared at the ceiling. I'm glad you shit-canned me, Major. 12 more hours and this could have been my ass. He frowned again and looked around his empty apartment. I'm the one who needs to adopt a damn dog. All this talking to myself is getting creepy. Trevino arrived at 7 a.m. sharp, wearing a new suit and with a spring in his shamble. Grim-looking people bustled through cryptic errands. After passing a security checkpoint, Trevino crossed towards a bulletproof glass gate, manned by a receptionist. "Morning, Without making eye contact, the receptionist cut him off. "Elevator to B1, make a left, second door on the right." The gate buzzed and slid open. The three suits contained separate bodies. They sat in separate chairs along the polished walnut table and carried separate briefcases. None of that meant anything. There came a discreet tap on the door, and the suit paired with a blue tie called, "Yes?" A dour, Eastern European woman leaned in. "Mr. Trevino is here for his interview. Shall I send him in?" "Thank you, Ms. Beta. Have him wait, please." She nodded and slipped out. The three drained of animation and turned their attention elsewhere. Folders opened, pens went into motion, and knuckles thoughtfully cracked. Ms. Beta. With post-Soviet efficiency, Trevino was bullied through the door. He appeared pale, intimidated. The suits relaxed as he took in the seal on the wall behind them. They sat on one side of the table, each one equal parts salesman and bureaucrat. Between them were a badge and a thick file, bearing the classified stamp. Like hungry cats, all three sets of eyes latched onto Trevino as he sat stiffly and tried to appear competent. Special Deputy Trevino. Adam. Welcome. He shook each of their hands in turn, unable to tell them apart. They may as well have been triplets. SBI's loss is our gain. Glad to have you. Sit. One of them pushed the badge across to Trevino, while the others passed him the file. Trevino put the badge in his pocket and patted it. Let's hope it stays there. He gestured towards the folder. May I? Your clearance was updated this morning. That's the spirit. We approve. Trevino raised an eyebrow, feeling a vague twinge of memory. Something about a scene from Macbeth. He pushed it away and opened the file. He was immediately confronted with the close-up of Dionysus from the previous night's news footage. You worked the Mother Hive brain case in early 2011. Is that correct? While the case from 2008 was still under review, remanded these 2 1/3? 2 went by monikers: Dionysus, Jesus, and Johnny Jones. Sir, Trevino started. You don't look happy, Adam. He continued turning the pages in the folder. Happy doesn't enter into it, sir. Though that name never meant anything. It was just something for the news. Mother Hive brain. Agents everywhere. Alien brain terrorists be afraid. 4 madmen and an insanity defense. There were 3. That we made, Trevino said. This one. He tapped a photo of Loki and several other terrified patrons being escorted from the mall by solicitous firefighters, stayed out of the file. He remained at large, and I believe he broke the other 2 out last night. This theory wasn't well received at SBI, I take it. Trevino laughed bitterly. It wasn't like that. We just had nothing and said nothing. With these 2 in custody, we closed the file. Good guys win. Film at 11? Yeah, something like that. So why DOJ? They're just a bunch of punks. We have reason to believe these individuals are, or will be, instrumental in a widespread terrorist conspiracy to manufacture domestic insurrection in advance of a series of attacks. We want them, Deputy. Trevino closed the file and tried very hard not to laugh. I don't see that here. What am I missing? Nothing. That's why you're here, Adam. Your mission is to gather human intelligence on these subjects, liaise with our office to correlate your reports, and build a domestic terrorism case. Once you've gathered sufficient information about all their associates, only then do you take them down. The 3 looked queasy. Nothing in their vocabulary enabled them to tell Trevino the simple truth, that those 3 had to be stopped. They could barely think it, let alone express it in human language. Their only answer was a deep, blind howl in themselves, a primal negation of those in that folder who could not be allowed to live, could not awaken to the knowledge of what they really were. It wasn't even what they thought, that they were reincarnated demigods. It was something far, far worse. Trevino blinked, finally taking their awkward silence as a kick under the table. So, let me see if I understand you. I locate and observe the subjects, determine if they have co-conspirators, investigating them as well, if they do. Then, once I have sufficient information and evidence, I am to ask them to accompany me to the nearest duly constituted authority for whatever reason seems most convenient. And when they resist with deadly force, I am to prevent civilian casualties by dropping them all in their tracks. Am I correct? The suit's deflated. Precisely, Agent. You start now. Emphasis on now. Good luck, Deputy. We'll be in touch. The door closed behind him, and the three slumped in their seats like discarded dolls. They had another meeting in an hour with the military people, and bodies need their sleep.
You have been listening to the Fallen Cycle Mythos podcast. Keep subscribed to receive new episodes as they are released at fallencycle.com or on the podcasting service of your choice. Party at the World's End was written by James Curcio. Thanks to J.F. Stackhouse and Nate Samsel for collaborating on early drafts of this story. The soundtrack was produced by James Curcio, with special thanks to various creative collaborators for inspiration and soundtrack source from old sessions, including, in no particular order, Scott Landis, Sean Marsden, Jen E., Sarah and Rahul Iyer, Martine Della Ruffa, David Bessel, Ari, and Nate Samsel. Cut the Sky's Throat, an album selected from this feature's soundtrack, is free to stream and will be available on Bandcamp. Music by Lilith, Dionysus, Cody, Jesus, and Ariadne. A statement on the use of neural networks is available on our website for those curious about how we do and don't use these technologies. This podcast is Creative Commons 3.0. Attribution, share and share alike, non-commercial use.